What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Outside the Clutch. This is episode 62 tonight. I'm pretty excited about this one. Kent's such a good dude. He's been around the community for a while. He's given a lot of love. He actually had me on his show about two-ish months ago. So this is my way to give love back and for us to get to know Mr. Kent just a little bit better. Going to be talking about all kinds of different stuff tonight. Before we jump into the craziness that can come from this, I would like to talk about obviously one of the big things going on. We haven't pushed it as hard as we did previously in the community, and I think it's a very important thing. It's something that we need to all really dive our focus into a little bit. And that's obviously the Lacey Act amendments. They have come back. I know it's just a crappy thing to be talking about, right? But it's something that could really affect us. Marco Rubio brought it up again, as you can see here. We now have the Lacey Act amendments of 2023 versus 2022. We fought so hard nationally as a community to make sure that these got removed from the bill last year. We really need to work together, raise the money that we can for USARC, and make sure that we're reaching out to our senators, our representatives, and just fight this tooth and nail like we did last time so that this verbiage is removed once again. We don't want them to ever feel like they're getting a foothold and moving forward and what they're trying to do with taking our animals and fighting the movement of our animals, right? So as I have said, the last two episodes, this episode and next week's episode, all the money raised, whether it's just from ad revenue, super chats, what have you, all the money from YouTube that I make will be going towards USARC. You will see a receipt come from me donating all that money to USARC, and I will make that public so you guys know, hey, that actually went there. I just feel like that's right. I'm trying to be transparent about it. I'm not keeping anything. So let's jump into it. Let's get ready. Let's have some fun. Let's see who's here, who's hanging out with us tonight. Let's see. Kaiju Constrictors. What's going on? That's part of the Hair Down Friday gang right there. He's always seems to be everywhere, actually. It's almost as bad as this man right here, Will from Will's Hella Heat. Arvin, what's going on, man? Thanks for stopping by tonight. I appreciate you. Let's see. Rob M, what's good? You know, a lot of things are good. We're living. Everything's happy. It's a good time to be alive. Just doing our thing. That's what's good. Mindy, bam, bam, boom. Oh, I don't have my bracelet on today. Let's see. Who else is here? Temple Exotics, what's going on? Thanks for stopping in. Creative Reptiles, yeah. What's going on? Hold on. Is that who Kent had on today? I'm pretty sure that's who. Yeah, I see the nod in the back. There you go. That's respect right there. I appreciate you. Lucas Landon Royals, what's going on? Thanks for coming back. Good to see you. Glad you're supporting Kent. All right, so let's just dive into it, y'all. Y'all know if you wanna really make something out of yourself, I say it every week, you gotta have the right equipment. I love VivTech products. They're absolutely amazing. Erica and Ryan McVeigh have been nothing but great to me. Honestly, I use their snake bags. If you're getting a snake from me, I use all their equipment to kind of monitor husbandry, make sure you're doing it right. I use pretty much everything VivTech. So if you're looking at that stuff, hey, you got to have the right equipment. If you're looking at VivTech stuff, we have a code to save you 15%. Make sure you check it out.
Here at Outside the Clutch, we're honored to be sponsored by VivTech. Are you ready for innovation? Tired of the same boring product that's been used for 30 years? Ready to give your reptiles and amphibians the UV they really deserve? Then look no farther than VivTech. Their 3-watt LED bulbs provide the UV rays your animals have been missing. With 3 bulbs to fit your pet's climate needs, plus a dimmable feature, it's the only bulbs we use for UV. And it's the only bulb with a 2-year warranty in the industry. Plus now you can monitor all your pet's husbandry from your phone 24/7 with their sensors and even ship your customers' animals in their custom bags. So what are you waiting for? Go to VivTechProducts.com today, use code FCLUTCH0322 for 15% off, and provide your animals the best care they've ever had.
If you guys couldn't tell, I'm a little flustered today. It's been a long day. We've been running all over. I actually came in like 5 minutes before this started. But let's talk about the next sponsor, right? You guys know it. You love it. I love it. It's a veteran-owned company. You can see a whole bunch of it right there. That great stuff right there. You know I'm talking about, that chip life, baby. Are you ready for the best coconut substrate in the game? Then you got to get ReptiChip. First off, it's America's chip because it's veteran-owned. Secondly, why wouldn't you want the best cocoa chip for your animals? Go to ReptiChip.com. Use code FeelyChippin for 10% off up to 3 breeder blocks or your entire order of Easy Hatch trays or any Redline Science equipment on the site. Limit 1 coupon per customer. Or reach out to me as a representative in the El Paso area, and don't forget to join the Reptilution, where all profits go to helping those in need within the reptile community. And show me snakes. What's up? What's up? What's good? Gotta love these shows, man. Like they're family friendly. They're a ton of fun. Like I love these shows. I do so well at them. I know a lot of people talk about how they have a somewhat of a hard time right now. A lot of the people that I've been talking to in the industry say that their online sales are really hurting, but they're doing really well at these shows. Well, if you are anywhere near a Show Me Snake show, you should probably check out vending with them, see what it's like. If you're just trying to get your feet wet, it's one of the first shows that I did, and I will never regret it. I enjoy these shows immensely. You get to see hots, you get to see like people's creative side with other products that they're bringing into the reptile community. There's so much good that comes from these shows. I'm very honored that he trusts me enough to throw his name out there and talk about his brand a little bit. If you're looking for a show, hey, this weekend we have Springfield, Missouri, which, oh man, I guarantee you that's probably a big show. That's actually right where they're out of. You have Groveton, Georgia. Next weekend, if you want to check it out, I'm going to butcher this name, Paducah, Kentucky, Jackson, Mississippi, and Columbia, Missouri, and Durham, North Carolina. All opportunities for great shows, an opportunity to meet people that you might not always see in the industry. And they're always a good time, whether you're there during the day, you're doing VIP, you're going to the Reptiles After Dark. I especially enjoy Reptiles After Dark because you get more time to talk with your customers. You get more time to really do like hands-on stuff with the kids. It's a fabulous time. Make sure you check out a Show Me Snake show near you. Let them know you heard it on Outside the Clutch. All right, so let's jump into it. Let's give this man some love. He's been waiting. What are we at? Almost 10 minutes. I doubled his time. I made him wait in the corner. I put baby in a corner. No, I'm just kidding. That sounds bad. All right, y'all. Give some love to Mr. Kent Beers from Kraft, Brew, Morphology.
And yeah, I get it now. After realizing the name is a mouthful, right? Kraft, Brew, Morphology. Too many syllables. But anyway, thank you, John,
for having me, bro.
That's a lot. Yeah, I didn't think about that when I came up with the name. I mean, it's my initiative.
That rebrand's coming. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah, just KBM.
Oh man. So how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm good. It's been a long day. For me, obviously, I do my own show roughly around 4 o'clock. So, after doing that, eating dinner and taking care of animals, it's a long day. But I'm very happy to be here. I'm really excited to, talk about where I came from, how. Gotta turn the lights on so I can see you. And
Yeah, your signal's a little weak for the video tonight.
and I'm
Not
on
sure what it
wired.
is.
You want me to pop out and come back in?
It's up to you, brother. However you want to do it.
All right, let me
We'll
try
roll
that.
it this way. It's actually clearing up a little bit, but I think
Right.
it's
I
just the
mean,
signal there.
on our end, it doesn't seem like anything, but let's just let
It might be my internet too. Who knows?
me go back out and come back in, and we'll see if
All
that
right.
changes anything.
While we're waiting for him, y'all, I hope you're excited for tonight. Like I said, there's so many people within this industry that the best part about shows for me is getting to know people, and that's what this podcast specifically was made for, was getting to know the people behind the brand, because we all say similar stuff. Let's be honest, right? We're all going to say similar stuff when it comes to just your everyday talk, but getting to know somebody, they bring up the struggles, the achievements that they've made within their career, or their time within the hobby, right? That's what makes you dive into their story, really appreciate that person for who they are, and like draws you in for their animals. And this was my way of giving that opportunity back. I love people as much as I have social anxiety like crazy. I love people. I used to be like the biggest social butterfly before the military, and when I got out, that kind of disappeared. And you would never know it doing this. Like, you talk to me one on one, I wouldn't say it's more relaxed. Well, yeah, I'd say more relaxed, right? Like, I still have the same energy, but it's more of a, I'm going to feed off of you, you feed off of me type energy. And stuff like this is what I really enjoy, because it allows us all to get to know the people better. There we go.
Are we better?
Yeah, that's much more clear.
Okay. Yeah. For some reason, I have to like reset it from time to time. I did a whole live with Malacio from Whisk Constrictors where I was all blurry and it was going nuts. So
Well, I appreciate
hopefully I'm
it,
here
man.
and you can see me.
Yeah. So let's kind of jump into it a little bit, man. What makes Kent pre reptiles?
I don't know.
What was the eye roll, bro? You're like, I don't want to talk about
what
myself.
makes me me? I'm a unique introverted guy that likes to do these podcasts. For me, it's just interesting that like I really do not enjoy this stuff, but I also really enjoy it at the same time. Like, give me the option to go hide in my corner, I will do that at any party, anywhere, ever. So reptiles, and I think that this makes me come out of my shell. Reptile pun intended, or if you will.
Shedding your skin.
Yeah, shedding my skin. Coming out of my shell. Yeah. I'm a sucker for bad puns. Though I think Antoine might have the worst. With his, I hope you had a lemon blast. That one is up there.
That's horrible.
Yeah, what makes me me? I'm me.
Yeah, man. Like, so what's your history? Like, what'd you do growing up outside of reptiles?
So I'm from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. If you don't know where that is, where Martin Guitar is from. I play guitar and own a Martin and play it, obviously. And Nazareth wrestling, it's a hotbed. Like, that's where I grew up. Like, wrestling is like, you have football in Texas. That's Nazareth wrestling. So I mean,
Okay.
From before I could probably walk, my dad had me in wrestling shoes, and I was on the mat. So it's just totally different culture of stuff. I mean, it's the weirdest sport, and also like one of the coolest, because it's a team sport, but also your team can't help you. So yeah, I mean,
what was that movie? Foxcatcher. Foxcatcher. Isn't that the area that Foxcatcher's from?
So that's in Maryland, I believe.
Maryland?
It was DuPont. So I mean that's pretty close. Like I actually was fishing down what I thought was in Pennsylvania, but apparently we ventured into Maryland and I had no clue. So we got out of right. I mean, we're in the creek and then apparently we're illegally fishing. But when we got back to the vehicle, how we had to get home, we went through Maryland and we were at the DuPont facility down there. But it's really a sour subject in the wrestling community of what happened there with Foxcatcher. We like to look more to the brighter side of things. I mean, that was a really dark point. I've never seen that movie.
It's messed up, dude.
See, even Rob's correct. So I
it.
might not have been in Maryland. Yeah. At that point. But either way.
Well, what'd you do in wrestling? Let's step away from Foxcatcher because obviously that could turn sour really fast, right?
Honestly, I did absolutely nothing. I was behind state place winners and state champions. Fortunately enough for me, my program was so good at the time, I wound up being able to wrestle in college. So I won a letter my sophomore year, and then I got hurt and career ended, which stinks. I mean, you don't want to go out with your coach being like, no, he's done. And I'm still trying. So when you get hurt in college and you take injury time, the other guy gets his choice of position. So obviously you want to go down so you can get an escape and you're up a point. So after the second one, it's like, man, I'm still down. I'm still trying. And then I tore the cartilage and pretty much everything right here. And I was just done. Like I couldn't even get up. And my coach was like, no, we're wrapping this. And then my junior year, I had recovered and came back. And first day of like captain's practice, I did it again. And so it was like 3 times in 7 months. And I was done. I couldn't.
Is there the itch to go back to it a little bit?
Oh my God. Yeah. And I did wind up coaching after that. So I coached, this was probably around a decade ago or so. So if you're familiar with wrestling, one of the oldest kids I coached at that time is Sammy Sasso. He's currently wrestling at Ohio State University, and he's my All-American. Great kid. Really love seeing him grow up and seeing him become a leader in that program. I mean, that was awesome.
Have you trained in any other arts besides just wrestling, or?
I messed around with like jiu-jitsu, that sort of stuff. I mean, sort of, you're rolling around on the mat, but the logic between the two is just so different. Like in wrestling, you don't want to give up your back. In jiu-jitsu, it might be a better position. So should wrestle Danny. I don't know. I saw him toss Nathan's wife. He's got a good throw. Hey, Jeremy, what's good?
So I asked that because obviously Tinley is fast approaching, faster than it feels like every year is going. So I think that's one of the issues with getting older, man. Like the years go by so much faster now. But Tinley is fastly approaching. Is there any possibility we might see you on a card? Have you reached out to Antoine? I know you've sponsored before.
It has been discussed. Funding myself to get out there and to not actually have fun is an issue, because I have a guy that we have said it on our live that we would throw down, but he is bigger than me, so we're doing weight classes that doesn't really work out.
I mean, we did an old UFC 1 through 3 way when me and Antoine did it. Like he definitely had a weight class on.
I mean, it would
I'm
be
gonna make
fun.
myself feel better at least.
I mean, I think it would be fun, but for
I
me
think you
to
should,
like
man.
get back into that shape, it's going to take a lot. So back when wrestling was the thing for me, I was waking up, working out. Lunch didn't exist. That was a workout. And then there was practice. So, I mean, that was, my daily routine for, from when I was in high school to, most of my college experience. So, I mean, that was never fun. I mean, even in high school, I ran cross country to get down to weight for wrestling and then wrestled the rest of the year and then ran cross country and did all that. I mean, I wrestled 149. I still do not know how, for the life of me, I actually made that weight when I did, because I'm around 200 pounds right now.
So outside of just wrestling, what would you say like most contributed to like your personality now?
Probably, honestly, the reptiles. I mean, it's been like those two things have been my life for as long as I can remember. They're both sort of like a little cult type of thing,
Right.
and people are really passionate about both. I mean, you have people that will argue, still arguing, about in my experience, which Nazareth team was the best one. 1997, 2007, my team, or 2017, and we're still fighting amongst each other. I will say that 2007 was
Always.
the best. But we have people that are in projects here that are like, oh, Ultramel, Monarch, and shout out to Kaiju for mentioning that earlier. I wanted to, throw back to that. I am Team Ultramel.
It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, like passion. Even if I'm like stuck like a pig in mud.
No, I will say, dude, like Ultramel makes so many beautiful combos, but I'm just, as weird as it sounds, I'm attracted to the dark tones of everything. So I don't know what it is. And like, so for the people like Will that just doesn't like dark snakes, I'm sorry, I produce dark stuff. I like dark stuff. I have the opportunity to produce light snakes. I do have lightning genes, but it's going to be mixed with dark stuff. It's just how I do things.
Yeah, I mean, I started out with liking the lighter stuff, but then you know like Anakin Skywalker, I've gone to the dark side a bit. Star Wars joke, if anybody's listening. Yeah, I picked up Blackhead, and I really like what that does. And I picked up a Blackhead Yellow Belly girl, and I have a highway breeder male, so I'm just waiting. I hit that Blackhead highway, see what that looks like. Now, I obviously want to work that into like recessive projects, but
So what got you into reptiles?
Me being weird, probably. So my parents had a spawn of Satan cat, right? And I didn't like dogs when I was a kid, so we did the whole gamut of fish and gerbils and that stuff, and then I don't know, I was probably watching Jeff Hanna or some animal person where they're showing reptiles, so I got really into reptiles, like really into reptiles. So my mom was a teacher, so I went on the internet circa like 1996 or whatever, printed out all whatever I could find that was like reptiles, snakes, things like that, and made a book of all these. I think at the time it was probably like an eyelash viper or whatever. But I made a book and I'd be flipping through that. Yeah, it's always been like me being weird and that sort of like jived with me. Cold-blooded snakes, whatever.
So how old were you when you first got your hands on a reptile?
I actually don't remember my first actual experience. I know sometime when I was, I want to say 6 or 7, I got an adult.
Okay.
And now this was back, a while ago when we did not know husbandry and that sort of thing. So I kept it I don't even know if I have one of these, like a critter keeper, right? So humidity, like that was all out the window. That thing wound up dying. And then the next animal I got was an albino corn snake. Now this was, again, back then when that was pretty novel, pretty new, and it was a cool morph to have. There wasn't really much. And that thing lived until I was, I think, a sophomore in college. So, like, I came home and was bummed out that the thing died. It's like, man. I think it was like 14. And I know that's not quite on the older end, but like for me, having a pet that long, it was sad. It was my first like snake that I identified with, that I, had, that was a pet, and to lose it was like, oh man, I'm bummed. He's buried in the backyard behind my parents' shed. I've never felt.
What made you take from that and decide to go the route that you're going now?
Well, I had a friend that's a bad influence that's more into this than I am. And
I think you have a few friends that are
well,
bad
now
influence,
I do, but
especially now.
Back then, my best friend Brad, he had a menagerie like forever, like caimans. I think he had a Patagonian caddy. Like he's had everything. So he got me into bearded dragons, leopard geckos, whatever. So my bedroom in high school was filled with animals. And now currently I've actually moved everything out into here.
This guy.
But
turn the cell phone off.
I know. I failed. Hey, at least I didn't have the live going on there. But yeah, so that's what really got me started. Then college happened, and I had to get rid of stuff because you really can't have stuff there. So I think it was, I want to get it right, on my sophomore year, my parents were taking care of a lot of stuff. So some stuff didn't make it. But I had leopard geckos at the time, so they came with me junior year. Then I traded them for my first ball python that actually got me into, starting to think about breeding. Unfortunately, the first year we tried to pair her, I think that was 2019, she had passed. So that was a big setback. Talk about my caiman. Yeah, Rob, I was crazy, and I actually had a mini crocodilian in here. Yeah, one thing led to another, and I just, picked up a normal, picked up a butter, and it's like, you know what, I might actually want to breed these things, because I was like remiss about ball pythons. My first instance into reptiles is like, there's cooler animals. Spiders.
We all feel that. I think we all feel that way. We nerd out on genetics, and that's not to say that ball pythons aren't fun and they're not enjoyable, right? But there's such a vast array of reptiles you could play with that.
Yeah, and
it's hard. It's hard sometimes to always feel that love for ball python.
And that's where I was at pre-pandemic, right?
Right.
So I went to the show. I didn't really see much. This was, I say pre-pandemic, I mean like 2014. And I didn't really see anything. So I was still shopping at that, big corner table with all the cool stuff that's probably going to die the second you take it home.
All the imports.
Yeah, right. Things I learned. Don't buy from that table. So then we go back, I think it's 2019. I had the female girl that had passed. So I pick up a normal male and a butter female. All right, so I, one male, 2 females. Okay, let's start doing this. And then I discovered this thing called reptile social media and realized, well, that was a bad call. things have changed, in the 7-8 years that had passed. What I picked up thought would be like, oh, that's going to be cool. Nah, I'm light years behind. Luckily enough for me, that male I had purchased turned out to be the female heptile that my first clutch came from. So that was one of the, I said it earlier today, best $20 I ever spent.
That's nice. That has to be nice. I mean,
yeah, and the fact that
the
it's
little
true.
surprises are nice.
I mean, when the female winds up being a male, that's not really, the best. And I've
That is
heard that's
one thing
happened.
I've never had happen, but the guy that I mentor locally, I feel so bad for these people. He got screwed over royally. He put in, I think, like 5 or 6 females that he thought he was going to be able to breed this year. And so I go over there with the ultrasound, and I was like, well, we'll ultrasound everything, and we'll check and do the right thing, right? And I was like, dude, there's no follicles. I don't think that's a female. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, even if they're not growing yet, they should still have like 5 millimeter follicles all the way throughout. You should still
Right.
see something. And he's like, okay, well, can you help me verify it? And I run it again on the ultrasound. I was like, there's nothing. Like, I'm gonna pop it, and I guarantee you, we're gonna get hemipenes or we're gonna get some sperm plugs coming out. And sure enough, like, we did that on like 3 or 4 that he thought were females, and I was like, dude, like,
Yeah, I mean that
and so
lessons learned.
the good thing from that though is he is very proficient in popping, and he has been able to refocus his projects, and was like, well, work this, and work this, because this is the way you have your sexes set up to where you can actually make something. And so he's able to find something positive out of the negative that it could have been. Like, for a lot of people, first year, that's probably going to be enough to like kind of dissuade them from breeding in the first place, right?
Oh
So,
yeah, definitely. I mean, you have something like that. It's like, why
half his collection that he thought was female turned out to be male. So now he has to like completely revamp his collection, which he's doing a good job. So let's kind of jump into that. You set up your collection, and you have now, over, I'd say, the last year or so,
really
pushed it
jumped
and changed what you wanted to do and found a focus. So
yeah.
talk about the start of it and what's brought you to the point and where your focuses have come from.
So, I mean, I look back at pictures of this place and I see a little dinky, 3-stack of sea serpents racks, right? And that's where I started. And now, looking behind me, I mean, this isn't ready to go, but it will be up here, and then futures here. But I was looking at like what I like visually, right? So I pick up cinnamon, black pastel, things like that. It's like, okay, this was appealing to me. Blue-eyed Lucy, super pastels, that sort of thing, right? And now I'm sitting here today, and well, why do I have this super pastel sitting here, right? She should be ready to breed, but she's small, so she's not going. And by the time she will be ready, I will have a super pastel butter Engie Ghost ready, and that's better. So why have that? So there's a couple things like that where I'm like, I don't want to breed something just to have a clutch at this point. Given my first clutch was champagne heavy, and I'm still sitting on almost all of them. Maybe because my price is high. I don't know. Maybe because people are turned off by champagne and pastel. Who knows?
So I think we talked about that a little bit in our episode too, but you have that blackhead stuff, and I think that's where you're really going to take off with your champagne.
Yeah, and I also have spot nose. So I've if you watch my channel, I talk about Spider Complex and new Spider Complex. Now, old Spider Complex, none of them work together, right? They're all going to be fatal. But the new stuff, spot nose, blackhead, Wookiee, I'm probably missing one. That stuff can pair with the OG spider stuff and be fine, not fatal. And most of those things can have supers. So I think that's sort of the route I want to go with that, and just working away from champagne and spider.
I think champagne's appealing, man. It's so hard to work with. The cool thing about it is blackhead obviously is allelic, so it's just a great combo to bring in together if you are going to work champagne. And then it's really cool because champagne usually kills all pattern, no matter what you put into it. And blackhead actually brings that back. You don't get like a full snake of worths of pattern, but you get some pattern in that champagne, which is really cool.
Yeah, so I have leopard enchi blackhead that I can work into that, and with hypo, I can. It's not a project that's on the front of my mind, but I have ingredients that I could make some visually appealing snakes in that. Unfortunately, with that whole complex, anything that has a wobble gets a bad rap.
Right.
Even when it's fine. Breeds, eats, does everything normally. I'm waiting on a bumblebee, or I paired an ivory to a bumblebee spark. So I'm waiting on that clutch that's going to drop. I honestly think any day now is going to come early. She's due the 8th. Again, probably going to be at least half spider in my experience, because they throw their genes more than.
Well, you got to be careful with that too. Like there's certain genetics, right? And pinstripe's one of them in my collection. I don't know what it is when I pair pinstripe. Like it's only supposed to go to 50%, but it goes to like 90% of my babies every time I pair a pinstripe.
Yeah, so I mean
it's weird, man.
It's something I want to try to avoid. Like, I hope I hit the odds as predicted, but in this last clutch, my only one, 4 champagnes out of 5. That's pretty heavy. Now, the one did prove out my girl to be het for pied, so that was awesome. That's a snake that's in the thumbnail for the video. That one's no longer here, obviously. But yeah, I do think champagne, like David says, has some potential with certain things. Like, I think in the right combo, maybe with Monsoon or Sunset. I know I'm kind of stealing that from what Billy was talking about on a hair down a couple months ago. But I think if you find the right combo that unlocks something and makes a stunning snake, you can change things for a specific gene. I mean, look at Justin Kabelka with the Batman and the Pompeii. Some stuff that was not really popular, now everybody's doing or trying to do.
Well, yeah. Like when the Pompeii came out, nobody would touch. You couldn't give Red Stripe away. Couldn't. You would just sit on it, and then you watch Red Stripe jump up from like a $50 gene back up to, I think it was like 300 or 400 at one point. And I mean, it's regulated itself back out again, but obviously, like one beautiful animal completely changes the entire game.
And so
let's jump back to it though. Like we went off on
I did
a little bit. So you started bringing in your basic stuff. You started breeding it. You're at the point where you decided, I don't want to just breed to breed, so I need to refocus. What brought that refocus?
Honestly, watching people like Billy, really getting involved here on social media, and so it's like, okay, I want to work these recessive projects. What's the next step? How do I? I don't make the most money. Obviously, wooden racks behind me, not ARS or Freedom Breeder. So how do I target everything I do to either make what I can't buy or get a step ahead of what I can't make? So, for instance, I love Ultramel. I also have Pied. So that was a logical project for me, Ultramel Pied. which I've paired my Ultramel pin to my female pied. Hopefully, I will have a clutch of pinstripe double hats. But how do I get ahead? So Kai from Lucas Landon, who was in here earlier, actually produced a clutch of Ultramel pieds and some combination of pied visual and Ultramel, etc. So I bought a pied visual het Ultramel female from him. That's growing up in the hatchling rack, about to move over here. Once all that stuff comes in, I can wire this up. So why that helps me, if my clutch doesn't go this year or next year for that pairing, I can take that male, put it to that female, hopefully hit Ultramel het pieds, and then wait for that male to grow up. So it's a setback, but it's not really. And plus, I'm throwing in pinstripe at that point. So I am looking at that with a few other projects. Clown Hypo is one. Right now, I have a Clown possible blade. We'll find out.
Send it to Ray.
Right.
We'll know
Send it to
right
Ray.
away.
People have said it's blade, but I'm waiting to see if it is. And that's a possible het Orange Ghost. So I have that currently paired to an Orange Dream possible double hat. So if that proves out, that'll be awesome. Get me a step ahead with a double visual. Make blade great again. It's probably in most of your clowns.
Yeah, it is.
I'm thinking, because leopard can't be in there, and the stripe is reduced, and there's really no drips. So I'm thinking it's there. He was paired to a Super Enchi albino. And this we did talk about when you were on my show. So that if that girl goes, I'll know before, anything I paired here. So, I mean, that'd be nice. It's another gene. Throw that in there. Hopefully, I hit the all gener and I'm happy. But
So you've really restructured yours towards 2 double recessive projects.
Right. So
mixing stuff.
Ultramel, Hypo, Clown, Pied. That's the main focus now. Now here's where it gets interesting for me. A couple months ago, at this point it feels like a year, I did win a snake from Antoine. Things happened. Things didn't work out with that. But he sent me 2 male double hats. Possible pet enhancers. So now I have G-Stripe, which I have nowhere in my collection visually, Het Clown, and possible het enhancers. So do I test them now? See if they are het enhancers. So with those, I wound up getting a het G-Stripe, possible het DG. Also, do I test that? Or do I wait and see? Because I have to test for Clown anyway. Do I just do the all panel on the clutch that she might produce? And for that whole project, I got in for $85. But if I hit it, it's like a literal game changer for me. Or even,
Yeah.
If I hit a G-Stripe.
You hit the G-Stripe, that's already putting you at 3 doubles guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, it's like.
There's a lot that could go.
It's a long shot, but it's something it's cool. And I don't want to go too heavy into that specific thing because everybody seems to be doing that. But
there's nothing wrong with all the kikis, dude. Let's turn it into the next Dreamsicle and drop it down to nothing. It's okay.
I don't even know what Dreamsicles are going for now. I think they're affordable.
Either I want to say it's like a $2,000, maybe $2,500 animal. I remember. So when I came in 17, Dreamsicles were like between $4,000 and $5,000. It's just it's crazy to watch that market. But anyways, sorry, that was a tangent.
But I mean, that is one of the project that's like a back burner. If I hit whatever. That's why I invested or traded rats for these racks. So I mean, that's like a bonus. That's going to be icing on the cake if that works out. If it doesn't, what did I really lose? I have got double het G-stripe brown stuff. So
Yeah. So in what are we? Essentially 6 years. In 6 years, it's gone from a $4,000 to $5,000 animal to 1,500.
I mean, even look at just Sunset.
Yeah.
In the past 2 years, it's relatively affordable now. If you
Depending
really,
on who you're buying from, but yes.
right, but I think $6,000. I saw a breeder pretty cheap. Given what it was when it first hit the market. So I think we're starting to see in general, people that have gotten into these projects 3 years ago are now starting to produce stuff, and so everybody that bought in on COVID on the heels of Cabelco with Batman and that sort of thing, you're starting to see them produce those types of snakes. So you're seeing the market kind of come down.
Sorry, I had to send the minions to do something. I need more water. It's hot in here. No, man, but so you found focus in a couple of projects. What's driven you? What's drived you? Horrible grammar. Holy crap. What's driven you to take it from, okay, I want to be just like this hobbyist and I just want to make some cool stuff, to I'm going to take this a little bit more serious and actually put investments into this?
Honestly, that I can do it. Last year, sort of with that first clutch, it was like, okay, it might not be that hard. Right. You put them together. If they lock up, in your incubation works fine, you're going to have healthy snakes. And, I already had at the time, some visually appealing snakes. So it's like, how do I make that better? Right. And everything right now in the market is at least double recessive from a breeding standpoint, right? If you're not working on at least one, you might be behind.
So I agree, double recessives do a lot, but what I will say is if you're still creating the right combos in a single recessive, so say like the
a black pastel albino, that is
obviously
a very visually appealing animal,
but it's still just it's a base level animal.
Right.
I'm saying, like, you look at your, what are they called? Dark Knights, the chocolate spot nose clown. Stunning animal. It still goes for over $1,000.
Right. I mean, you have that.
You add one thing to it that gives it just that pop. You're easily seeing 2.5, potentially 3, and those are still going like candy. People aren't producing enough of them.
Right, and then you also have there's stuff just single gene codom, add another codom. You're talking like Confusion, Stranger, Acid. Forget the other one. Static, is that the other one? Acid, Confusion. Anyway, there's certain codoms that just are a hot commodity. You can put almost anything in them. You look at
Stranger,
like Lace and Clown.
Lace. Yes. Thank you for giving love to Lace.
And I would take him out, but he's in blue. And last time I opened the tub for not feeding, he struck at me, and he's a dick. But I picked him up for $65.
It's smelling like rats when you go play with your snakes.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that you kind of almost need to make, like
right.
You're looking at bells, pies, that sort of thing.
I think it really leans into where you are too. So, like where I live, do bells go? Yes, but everyone makes bells, so I don't want to make bells because I need something visually different from what everyone else has on their table, right? So I go really heavy into lavender albino. I love the lavender albino. It's almost the same level. Like the last show I was at, I was selling females that were visual lavender albino 50%, pied, right? For $400 all day.
Wow.
Didn't even have to question it. Didn't have to talk about it. People came up. They're like, yes. And I'm talking about like 100 to 150 gram females selling full price. Have to put the whole work into it to get it there to breed. But it's just because it's different. And I was
Right.
the only one at the entire show with anything lavender.
And where were you when I started getting back in and Dreamsicle was hot? And
Honestly, I had stuff to create dreamsicles right away, and I never pursued that project, which I should
I
have.
mean, I saw it and I was like, I like it, but again, one of those, why I'm not really into anything albino. Technically speaking, Ultramel is kind of albino-ish, T positive.
It's a T positive.
Yeah.
You're just looking at the T negative versus T positive, and
I do like that we're now talking about that
Yeah.
when it comes to ball python albinos. So that's nice. I do like.
But I think, like I was saying, it's just your market, dude. Like, if you know that you're going to a show, and you said, "Hey, I have to make pies. I have to make bells," because you know those sell for you really well at every show that you're able to go to. It makes sense to have a couple pairings for those. But you still have to make stuff that's going to make you stand out, for one, and two, you have to have stuff that no one else in that area is going to have. Like I know El Paso and what the people here are producing because we all talk. And it was just, okay, well, this year I'm going to slip this in because no one's working these projects. And that'll give me something different than everybody else. Or it's just, play on it, man. Honestly, it's bananas. As much as I freaking hate, like, they're gorgeous animals. Don't get me wrong. I'm not crapping on the way they look. I love bananas, even when they get spots. But it's just, banana is so overproduced by everybody unless you get the right combo. But that's that perfect entry level snake for everybody. So across the nation, you cannot produce enough bananas, even though I feel like it's way overproduced. Like, I remember one Arlington where I was just like, man, if I walk to another table and see bananas, I'm just going to the hotel room for the rest of the day. Like, I don't want to see another freaking banana.
And I did have banana for a little bit. I bought a breeder off of Chris from BNS. Unfortunately, I have no clue what happened. She wound up passing. She had been paired here a couple times. She was here long enough that, obviously I can't be like, hey, Chris, you sold me a sick snake. Something happened, as it does with ball pythons. But I that was the only banana I've ever had. But with Ultramel, I mean, I feel like I'm getting that color palette. So do I necessarily want to get back into bananas? Probably not. But for me, looking
that's
at
good. Thank you. One less ball python breeder forcing a bunch of bananas out.
Well,
I'm not shitting on them. They're beautiful animals. It's just,
I will say, Jerome from No Limit has called Ultramel recessive banana. His words, not mine. But like you said, look at your market, and that's what I've been doing. Why I'm trying to work Ultramel heavy into anywhere I can possibly stick it, because there really isn't that much. I would say I'm 3 years behind whatever the best locally would be doing for the most part. I have the potential to hit what they're making the second I have a collection produce stuff. So just looking at that, maybe Ultramel Blackhead Highway, something like that. Trying to work it into projects that are popular now, but still will be visually appealing forever. I mean, like Highway, Freeway, like that sort of stuff. I actually didn't have any yellow belly aside from that Bumblebee Spark until a couple months ago when I picked up a blackhead yellow belly, and I picked up the highway breeder male. So one of the other issues I realized is that I only had one proven breeder male in my whole collection. So this year, everything that I paired was not proven on the male side. So it didn't really give me room for error if it doesn't go. Now, all the females here that have been paired have gone off food. So I'm thinking for the most part, they've either reabsorbed or these two will lay. I don't know about some of the other ones. I haven't seen an ovulation yet. They're still eating, but they're not pairing. So we'll see. Fingers crossed I can, check off some boxes for some more proven breeder males.
So let's get down to the nitty gritty on that though, because you made that a very valid point. Most of your males breeding this year, this was their very first year. So what was your learning point from that?
That's why I have the highway male. So yeah, it was and even in the hatchling rack over here, I added more males, so I don't run into that issue. I might not be my ideal pairing,
Right.
but there's a secondary pairing I can do that will still work in that project. So that's sort of, where I'm at. So say my male clown for some reason that doesn't lock with a visual clown or doesn't do anything. Well, I can throw a lace male to her, and I'm really not that far off, even though I probably should do that anyway.
We're talking about the wrong subject with lace right now. Just
Where you
my heart aches. My lace. So I have a spot nose yellow belly lace. Everything visual, clown female. He went to it, and I could not get him to lock with a single one. Like, he is more than big enough. He's throwing sperm everywhere. He doesn't know what to do yet. It's like, struggle, you little kid.
So
come on, man.
I know everybody.
Backup. What I was getting at is backups are important.
Yes. And then another thing is tricks to trick males into locking with your female. So we've all heard, put the shed from a proven breeder in a water bottle or throw it in there. I've done that. But what actually got my Ultramel pin to lock was taking the sperm plugs from the ivory and, smearing that on that girl. And, well, he locked. And then he figured it out. So, there's various, ways about it. And sometimes it just won't work.
Yeah. There's times where
that male just or
two
that
snakes
female
just
don't
aren't
want it.
compatible, no matter what you do.
And I thought that's what was happening with the ivory and the bumblebee spark, and then she, swallowed a whole, package of Nerf footballs, and well, apparently he got it in, or it's retained from last year, but we'll know right away. Based on the clutch. If I see Enchi, retained. If I see yellow bellies and pumas, well, that's the ivory.
So where do you see yourself like by the end of this year? Like what's the most exciting thing that you think you're going to produce, or at least have the possibility to produce this year? And where would you like to see that taken within the next couple of seasons?
So I mean, what I'm going to produce, and I'm confident, probably a pastel puma. The odds are with me that I will hit that, or a bell. But what I would like, based on my pairings, is the double head Ultramel pies. I hit a male, pinstripe, whatever. I don't care. I hit a male. Based on when that female I got was born, they should grow up, to be able to be paired at the same time. So that's what I'm really excited about. And then the next year or so, all the females from that clutch, I'm obviously holding back. So you could also do that if you put the one snake in the pantyhose.
So I'm
heard
not
that
gonna
before.
lie. Well, so he said it that way, but if you, I had one snake that just freaking laid eggs. The issue is, I put 3 males with her. So I have a major who's your daddy. No idea what's gonna come.
Yeah, I
from it.
saw your post and I was like, ooh.
Stupid idea, but I never saw visual lock, so I tried multiple. We're gonna find out.
Yeah, I mean when that's the case, you want to make sure that your males have something that you can know which one actually produced. So, like for me, for shits and giggles, I've thrown in my Ultramel pinstripe in with my pied. So
Well, you
I
gotta
don't
look at
know
cameras.
if she came back after locking with the Firefly pied. I don't know. If she did, it'll be obvious. If the pin Ultramel gets her, it'll be obvious. There's genes that would show up. So
I can't do that. I can't bring myself to do that. I cannot combat males. I know some people do. I can't bring myself to. How do you feel about it?
you mean putting 2 in there
Yeah. And
without
then
a
pulling
barrier?
one out so that you get the one that you wanted to lock up to actually lock.
I've never actually done the whole pantyhose method. I don't know. I probably wouldn't, just because I wouldn't trust. If I have my proven breeder male in there in pantyhose, what's saying he's not going to actually get through that pantyhose or whatever, and I'm not going to get what I wanted, but yeah.
Okay. Well, double hets, which is a great base. Opportunity within 2 years. Well, a year, because you already have the female, right? So within a year to really produce that double visual puts you right in line to do some really great stuff. Not
Yeah,
combat, just
and
living. Okay. I got you, David.
oh, okay. And if I hit that double visual male, now, well, all these females in the collection, even, same thing with the con hypo, just to hit that male, and obviously whatever females. That's
So
what this
I'm going
is
to tell you,
for.
I actually haven't shared this with almost anybody besides Joel. Have, even with the double recessive, find a backup for it, man. I had probably my worst loss I've ever had within the game. I lost my hypo puzzle male, and I was basing like half my year on that. And obviously, hypo puzzle is not something you could just go out and get, right? So there's no way to replace it. I'm gonna have to start from like beginning stages and work my way back up to it, unfortunately. But it's just stuff happens, man. Stuff happens. And so even with the one, take your time with it, figure out a backup. That's all I can tell you. Always have a backup male. Like have a backup to the backup sometimes. Especially when you're trying to work a double recessive project, because
and
once you have one thing happen, it literally, so like something that I had multiple opportunities to create double visuals this year and some amazing double hits to really push the project forward. I now have to hope that I hit a double visual male on the only girl that ovulated, and then I have to grow it up for a year. If I hit the male, if I hit a female, I'm completely screwed, and I have to work the project essentially from 3 years back.
right, yeah, and things like that happen, and unfortunately, in your situation, like you can't plan for that. So how do you, rebound? For me, say that double hat male don't go. Well, I got the visual ultramel male. That at that point would be proven. And yeah, do I get set back a bit? Of course, but it's not devastating. So I mean, yeah, and anything, that we are taking risks, we're taking gambles.
We're farming, well, ranching is the
Um,
easiest way to say it, and it's hard. Like, they're not only our pets, but like for me, all my spare money for the last 5 years has gone into building what you see behind me, and to know that and to lose an animal that literally could pivot your entire course is
yeah,
insane,
I can't. I
unfortunately. But
honestly cannot imagine.
yeah, but I mean, it is what it is. You have to take the good with the bad. Some animals get sick, and luckily, I caught it in time that it didn't mess up other females. Didn't mess up the rest of my collection. But even with pushing it, there's just he didn't get better. It just stressed him out too much, and he gave up. And that happens with animals, unfortunately. Name of the game. But
Yeah, and that's one of the things with my collection being the size that it is. I don't like. I'm not overworking any male, right?
right,
The ultra male has been paired to, well, now 3, and
no, that's nothing.
that's nothing. My super pastel leopard butter has been paired to the stuff in the Bell complex. So I'm really not worried, right now about overworking. Um, I do get worried when some of the other ones that I'm not breeding go off of food, like my champagne pastel, for whatever reason. But now after last year, I know he's going to go off of food pretty much until the first girl ovulates.
Right.
Once that happened, he's back on food because nothing interested him.
So how many did you say you were going to hit this year?
For sure, 2 clutches. I'm not sold on whether or not the butter is going to give me viable eggs.
Okay.
Looking a little on the small side, but the B Spark should give me probably 6, 7. Hopefully, I hit less spiders, more pumas. That would be great. But then I paired the Ultramel pin to a cinnamon, paired the Ultramel pin to the pied. And right now I'm pairing the clown pause blade, pause head hypo to the orange string pause double head. That's probably going to be going towards next year, given her age. She's big enough. I don't have an ultrasound, so it's really throw a snake in once a month, see if they
Oh,
lie.
you're good, dude.
That sort of thing.
I don't knock that at all.
What?
Like, I still prefer to palpate. So literally, I know people that are in their facility or their room or whatever. You know what I mean? Once a week, ultrasounding. I ultrasound like once a month. First of the month, I'll ultrasound all the girls that haven't gone or girls that I've been tracking that are having growth just to see if there's a change. But I don't rely on that. I grab a paper towel and
Yep.
I run through and I palpate
You
everything.
can kind of see them. I got a whole big stack up there. Now I'm not the best at it, but I have felt them a couple times. I'm more relying on visual cues. Are you bull wrapping?
How many years are you in total with trying to breed?
2. This is
2?
year
Okay.
2.
So yeah, I mean you're just getting your feet wet, you're seeing what you like, you're learning how to really identify genes. So dude, I could tell you I got the bug bad. I went from like, okay, I have to produce as many as I can, and they're like, maybe I shouldn't do that. And luckily I had a small collection at the time because I was literally pairing every single girl in my collection the last 2 years, and I got 5 clutches each year, which is great. This year I'm expecting to hit like 12 to 15, but I took on almost double the collection that I had the previous year, so it's factoring in. But I only tried to breed about half, and this year when I did it, I was very specific about what I chose. Like some of the clutches, I only paired them because I have a male that I don't know if I really wanted anymore, but I bought it from buying a collection, right?
Mm.
And it had never been paired, and it has stuff that could go for big money in it. I said, well, before I put it out there as this and I tarnish my reputation, I'm going to put it to something and figure out what's actually in it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to
That
be
makes
the
sense.
asshole that says, hey, here's a 5 gene and it's supposed to have gravel in it, and make you pay like $1,200-$1,500 for an animal that you pair to a yellow belly and then never make any highways with, right? So I'm taking that risk on myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or the blackhead champagne boy that I have. There's supposedly like 5 or 6 other genetics in there. So I put it to a normal and I put it to a pinstripe to figure out, okay, let's see what's exactly in this thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing with it with champagne. It might be hiding a lot. From that, the boy that's in the thumbnail, that was based on what my knowledge of what I paired was a champagne hep hide. The only things there. I show it off. Billy from Mutation Creation goes, is Mojave in there? The second he said it, I'm like, where the heck could Mojave be? And it's not in the normal. Can't be. Is it hidden in that champagne male? The champagne pastel male? I don't know. But I also can't say, um, that it's there. So it's, if I pair him later and it winds up showing up, no, maybe. But I've also had people say that it was a visual pie, which is kind of confusing because most of the champagne visual pies just, follow the spider complex and have the head stamp, and that's it. But I did see somebody on Morph Market that had something similar. And if that's the case, it throws that whole clutch, out the window because everything would be 100% hep hide.
So let's kind of switch gears. Well, I want to ask this first. How big is your collection at this point? With 2 years in and saying that you want to breed, how big is the collection grown to?
Checked Husbandry Pro because I don't know off the top of my head. I think it's 30.
Okay.
Roughly 30, give or take.
And you've started producing your own rodents at this point too,
Yes.
right?
I started that before I started breeding.
Really?
That was something I was looking at for, cost benefit analysis. It's like I'm spending X amount of money paying for shipping because my collection's small. So if I'm buying from Rodent Pro or whatever, I'm, looking at Kevin McCurley, like who's got the discount code, to bring this down, or who could I tag on my order to? It would be like I was getting half a year at a time just to make it work, and that was a lot of money. So it's like my buddy breeds rodents. I'm like, hey, can you give me, 3 1 to 2s? Whatever, I'll pay you $50 for the stuff. He gets started, and since I've done that, I think I want to say like I'm around 50 cents a rodent I produce, give or take. But if you can do it, I'd recommend it 100%.
So what made you jump to it right away?
I was tired of waiting, like having to look in my freezer. And, if you're doing frozen thawed all the time and nobody eats and you don't have a garbage disposal, you lost that. If I go in there and grab a rat hopper, throw it in, and that snake doesn't eat, it goes right back into the rodent colony and grows up more. So it was, that cost benefit analysis. Do I want to reduce waste? Yes. At the time, I did have a caiman that would gladly gobble up, whatever I couldn't feed off. But, that's not something you can really keep in an apartment much long. It gets to a point where it's like, okay, it needs its big old enclosure. I use Kalmbach. I get it off of Chewy. It's like $25 a bag. You get 2 bags, it's free shipping. I love him the dog food. And I get it, every other month or so. And it's worked out.
Nice. And are you strictly doing Norwegians or?
Yeah, strictly right now. I'm realizing that I'm going to probably have to double what I'm doing. So I think I will do ASFs. It makes the most sense, just because of when you're able to feed a baby ball python in ASF, just the right size, right nutrition, it's much better than a rat pinky. Plus, you can have more in your colony. You're producing more. I get that it might take longer to get started, but you just have that. Get a tegu.
For sure, and that's one of the things that me and my wife talked about this year. I was like, hey, with what we're looking at, depending on what these last 3 to 4 clutches I think we're gonna hit for this period. I think we might have some late girls too, but I think we're gonna top out at another 3 to 4. We looked at what we think the babies should be, obviously going off of a typical meal plan that we use, and we're like, hey, we're gonna have to be producing, like, if everything doesn't move right away, we're gonna have to be producing this per week in order to feed everything.
Yeah.
So we introduced, I think we decided to introduce 2 or 3 more ASF colonies.
Yeah, so right now I have 5, 4 1.3s going, and there's one because at some point something's gonna die off. So I was pulling from the youngest bin females to replace. So I have a 1-to-1 down there. Once the top bin, once I pull everything out of there, as far as babies goes, I'm gonna put that girl up there, and that male is boa food. And then the one I have in the grow out rack is going to go in. And I'm back to where I started. But it's nice to be able to have, the grow outs, have them produce where I keep them, just so I can always have a backup to replace, what's going out or what needs to go out. I'm probably, like I said, I'm going to have to double it. I've been lucking out and been using, rats as, a trading commodity, because my freezer gets full and it's like, who needs smalls? All right, well, what can we barter for, type of thing. So with guys with bigger collections, like, yeah, whatever, take this snake out of here and I'll feed my collection for a week with the rats you gave me, type of thing. But it's going to get to the point where I can't do that anymore.
Right. No, for sure. I think with that, it's very important to sit down and really do your cost analysis, right? And then really dive into what you're going to need. And there's so many ways to do it. One of the things I found after doing rats over the last couple of years, I won't say my production is down to a science, but it's pretty darn close. Like, I could tell you based off of like all my stats over the last 3 or 4 months. Hey, this rack will give us X amount this month. This rack will give, even by the tub, this tub's going to produce this. This tub's going to produce this. Hey, we need to cycle this group out because they've dropped below the threshold that I deem is okay for me. You know what I mean? Just based off of what I need for the community and for my stuff.
Yeah, and that's something I wasn't doing, right? Like, I obviously knew for me it was cheaper to breed them than it was to buy them. But I wasn't actually tracking, since I, always had I can always go in that room and there's going to be something I can feed everything here. I didn't have that issue, and I'm thinking I will have that issue where I might be like, well, can't feed today. I don't have the right size. So I want to try to avoid that situation, especially with hatchlings. And, I have some that I'm still assist feeding. So I need that perfect right size to be able to do. And sometimes you might not have it. It's like, oh, well, that pinky's too small. I need it to be slightly bigger, that type of thing. So, again, lessons learned. I might have an abundance of smalls, but when I need pups or that specific size, I might not have it. So expanding the colonies, I'll be able to have better odds of really not running into that issue.
So let's jump into the podcast, man.
Let me froze a bit.
So
Hey, there you are.
What initially pushed this?
So way back 2 years ago, something like that, hanging out with Big D's, Derek, Ledka, a couple other guys. We were going on doing these late night whatevers. And then, Terrence from Keys Constrictor started his, and I'm like, you know what, I can actually do this type of thing, right? I like coming on here. I like talking about snakes. So let's say probably roughly a year ago or so, I started the Sunday Snake Chat, where I had various people on. I forget who I think my first guest might have been Jeremy Turgeon. I'm not sure.
Jeremy's a good dude.
I think it might have been. I think he was first, and Keys was second. So I did it on Sunday at 6:30 till about the end of last year, and then we ran into an issue with another podcast in our group of people, where we were butting up next to each other. So Nicole from Lady Tiz suggested I move to Saturdays at 4. And I was like, okay, nobody's there. I can do that. And so with that, I rebranded to Shedding Your Skin. And like I was talking earlier on my show, I really like doing these because, it gives me an opportunity to pick somebody's brain, for like 90 minutes that I wouldn't get a chance to just through like a, group chat or a DM or, even on a panel show. So I really like doing that. I like giving other people the opportunity to be able to come up and share their information. I've had people, all across the industry, from pet keepers to first-time breeders to, people that are, I would consider my peers, to some, OGs like Brian Gundy. It's been all over the place, and I really like that. Because way back when, somebody gave me the opportunity to come on here and talk about snakes and talk about what I'm doing and give me a platform. So I want to, reciprocate that and, learn from others. Like you said earlier, Blackhead Champagne. That was something I was thinking about, but definitely that's probably a pairing that I will consider.
No, I think it's smart, man. And a lot of us sit there and we're too, I'm not going to say starstruck because we're all just
people,
but unless you identify as an animal or something else. But we're all just people. And I think for some people it's harder to approach, right? Like a lot of us in this industry, we're introverts, so it's hard for us to approach someone and really get information out of them. But we can say, hey, I now have a platform, or I have a channel, I'm trying to build it, I'm trying to learn more. Would you give me your time with this? And it's a good way for you to market yourself as well. That gives a double dip essentially for that person to actually care and to give their time to you. So it's a good way for a lot of new people to jump in. And then even the guys that have been around for a long time, like Chris or Sean or God, there's the one I miss is Reptile Radio out of Australia. That was a phenomenal freaking podcast, and you learned so much. And unfortunately, they stopped a couple of years ago. But like those those older generations that did podcasting on reptiles before it was the cool trend, right?
Right.
They got so much information out for us. And then you saw people like Cusco start doing his Triple B interviews, which it's not really a podcast, but it kind of is in a sense. It was the pre-recorded podcast before that's what it was being called, right? And then you've moved into this next generation where you see yourself, you see me, you see T and MJ and all these other people in the community that have come out. And we all have our own little way of doing things. We all have our individual bases. And to be able to talk to a mentor and be like, hey, I have issues with this, and I know you'll give me the time, but I don't necessarily have a way to give back to you. Would you like to be on my show so that you can give me that information, but I'm also providing
for other people
at least some eyesight, especially with new people, right? Like you see the new people kind of clip together every time when there's a new crowd that comes in. Like I remember when Bomb and Jaffe and all you guys came in, right? And I saw you kind of bind together. I was like, that's freaking awesome. That's what you want to see.
Yeah, it sort of worked out for the group of guys that I mainly associate with outside of Pennsylvania. Usual suspects. It's Terrence Keys. Hair Down Fridays. It was just we all came in roughly around the same time. And now there's some other people in there that are been there a while or have a really nice collection like KG from Bomb or Jeremy Bald. But it's just a bunch of people together on this mutual thing for snakes, and we were just hanging out doing these things. And Terrence really took off, and that was kind of cool to see that and see that growth. Now he is very, very charismatic, and he has a steel trap for names. So, he'll remember, whatever your name is, this is what you're
calling me out now. You're calling me out now.
A little bit.
Hey, I remember the first name. I remembered the first name. You got to give me that at least. It's like, is it Beers? Is it Brew? I forget what it was.
But yeah, I mean, for me, it's even hard to follow what's going on. Like, if somebody had a great podcast and it didn't show up in my algorithm, or I was busy that day and nobody told me that, go watch this, it was good, I may not watch it until it shows up on, when I'm cleaning, whatever that playlist is. Because I have a long one that's probably, it might go on until I die. I don't know. There's a lot of content out there. But I do have a lot of the people on in this. Like, I've liked the video. It's added to a queue for when I'm cleaning and doing work around here. But yeah, like you said, it's interesting to see people that sort of come in around the same time sort of coalesce together.
So what's your overall goal with shedding your skin? Like, where would you like to see shedding your skin go?
Well, hopefully I actually do it more often. I know I took a month hiatus. Stuff happened, life happens. It's on a Saturday, so it's generally a popular day for barbecuing and, doing yard work or helping. Anyway, so I took a month off. I regret doing that because it killed me. As far as views and stuff coming to my channel, I noticed it in my shorts. I noticed it, across the board. So what do I want to see happen with that? I like I said, I want to see people be able to have a platform. I'd like to say almost everybody is welcome. If Justin Kabilka calls me tomorrow, hey, I want to come on and talk snakes. Great. If some guy I've never heard of that, hey, I want to get into this. I'm not big, I have a small collection, first time breeder type of thing, but I want to get my name out there. I feel like this channel, my channel, can be like a sort of a stepping stone to get you out to, my peeps, who then can get you out to their peeps, and it can cascade. So if somebody wants to come on like, hey, I'm having trouble selling things. I'm having trouble doing this. I can be that platform.
I like that, man. I really like what Jessica and Jenna are doing right now.
Yes, that
So
is.
when I first came in, one, I love their podcast in the first place because there's a lot of scientific to it. I think Jessica does an excellent job of just breaking down her material. But the auctions that they're doing right now to help people move animals, um, I checked it out for a little bit before their show,
Yeah, hey, I
and
was watching
there
it
were
as
some
well.
steals going on in there. I'll
Yeah,
tell you that.
there was a spider fire pastel border stranger possible het clown from I believe it was Cue Ball um, for $1,000 at the time when I was watching. I was like, you get stranger for that? Um,
Now,
yeah,
granted, it has a lot to compete with. Sometimes having that big of a mix isn't always more beneficial.
right. But I mean,
But no, I really love what they did. So I went, and when I first was getting in, that's how I got a lot of my collection right away. So there's this breeder out of California called Intelligent Design Reptiles. I don't think that they do it anymore. I know the YouTube channel's been completely shut down, but that's one of the things that they used to do. They hosted an auction. I think it was bi-weekly or something like that. They would get animals together. They would have like a couple of their own and then a couple from other people. And it was a great time, and it was a good way for all the new people to kind of come together and get rid of animals, or to figure out a way to build their collection for a little bit
right.
less than what you would pay at a show or through Morph Market, right? So it's just another avenue, but it created excitement, and you created a lot of friends out of it, because you would see the same people. Like there's this one lady that I used to bid against all the time, and it wasn't purposefully, but
It
we
just
liked a
happened.
lot of the same things, right? So it like, oh no, John and Calissa are at it again, and it'd just be a bidding war between us. And we'd send each other texts afterwards and start laughing about it, because it was an ongoing joke for a while. You knew as soon as something came up, it would be us bidding for it, and we'd try to bully everyone else out of it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, I got two that I for the life of me cannot move, and that might be an option. Just I got my two really cheap shipping discounts from Redline, uh, so it might be a way for me to move those two animals through something like an auction. Even though I don't want to take next to nothing, I need them out of the rack. So
completely
at
get
some
that,
point,
man.
feeding them, that cost benefit. It's like, okay, what can I realistically, what's my net? Where's my break even point? Like, okay, that is not costing me more money to keep than I am, get a gain from something.
Well, you gotta think about what goes into it too.
But yeah,
That's
for
hard
the
to say.
like I was saying earlier, the whole back rack, it's one of my favorite ones. I put it on Friday at work. Sort of get me through the afternoon.
Love their stuff. So you've pushed your podcast. Um, you just like having that platform for people to be themselves and talk about what they feel like they need to. What's something that you would like to kind of see in the future out of your podcast? Like whether it's you're shedding your skin segment, or maybe it's a whole nother segment where you would kind of like to see yourself push forward.
So one of the things I wanted to do, and I've still been mulling it around. One of the issues I have is my job can really take me away from being able to do this part. You work till 6:30 at night. Slaving behind a computer all day. Do you really want to come home and film a video? Do you really want to come home and do something on top of the necessities? So, and I need to treat it like I'm going to the gym. And Jaffe is the one that put that in my head. Treat it like you're going to the gym. You need to do your podcast. You need to do this video. You need to do this short. set a schedule. So one of the things I wanted to do is do a pre-recorded live in the morning, maybe I'm thinking Thursday, and call it Ball Things Considered. A play on.
No one steal that. Like I didn't say this so that someone can
Right.
steal the idea. I said it's to kind of let you tease people towards something new and kind of push you.
Right. So I mean, it's a play on obviously balls, ball pythons. But there's a thing on a show on NPR called All Things Considered. So it's sort of tying that into music and snakes and that sort of thing. And honestly, I might want to just go ahead and do it next week. I got all day tomorrow to film it.
Nah. Man, not enough people listen to this podcast. You're safe. No one cares about outside.
Well, nobody stole that idea yet, and I've been talking about it for a few months. What was stolen, and I don't know if it was intentional or not, but we were talking about doing a March Madness style tournament of breeders, and that apparently happened. And a few of us regret not doing that before that happened, because that would have been fun, and we could have bounced it around from our channels. But so the premise for the new show, Ball Things Considered, is going to be, what did I see this week? Through my algorithms, who had a clutch, who had their first clutch, who had, a big breakthrough, who's got, a banger guest on this week. It's like a news show.
Yeah, it's like it's
your
a
update
late night talk show, but in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to be like Brian, but it's more like I want to be a positive voice in the morning, be like, here's all the good stuff that's happening. Forget the negative, forget the drama that's going on. Blah had their first clutch ever, and they had boom, 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 boom. Kind of like Billy used to do it on Mondays, the MC shoutouts. So I want to kind of do something like that to bring something positive, and maybe somebody doesn't know this person or follow them, and they hear it on that show, and then they go click that person's link, go to their channel or their page and see that animal, and maybe they buy it. I don't know. Just something like that.
Okay, man. I like it. So if you haven't subscribed to Kraft Brew Morphology, we'll pull it up here again. Please go to his YouTube. Where are you at? You're at 514 subscribers.
Oh, I lost one today. Darn. But yeah, it's been fun getting to this point. I always feel like I'm super humble about it. Like I'm not asking you to subscribe. You subscribe to me because you like me. You like my content. I don't want to shove it down your throat. If you don't like what I do, there's a door.
I'll say it. Go subscribe to Ken.
Yeah. And in particular, if you actually want a good watch, there is a video.
Did the mean face work? I tried the mean face.
There is a video I put out a while back about the spider complex. Go ahead and watch that. And then I did a follow-up with Champagne. There will be a third one now that I actually have some other genes in the spider complex, spot nose and blackhead. So I'm going to do a follow-up in that series.
I like it. All right. So for those that want to see you outside of just YouTube, is there a good way to get a hold of you? And are there any shows that someone might be able to find you at this?
You may be able to find me at Oaks, Gettysburg, or Hamburg. I rarely go to shows since I don't vend currently, and I'm usually only going to pick up a snake that I've made a pre-arrangement for. I don't feel like spending $10 to go there and walk around and socialize. I can do that all weekend for free, more or less from here. Now I do understand I need to go out to shows and shake hands and kiss babies.
Back to 515.
More of a marketing.
Go do your politicking.
Right. Hand out free stickers and all that stuff. Rob, that's only because you crept up behind me and scared the crap out of me. So I was talking to somebody, and he put his hand on my shoulder to introduce himself to me. The first time I met him, he scared the bejesus out of me. But if you want to, connect with me outside of this social media realm, you can go on my Morph Market. My contact information is there. The email craftbrewmorphology@gmail.com. If you are a Morph Market member and you have a page, you can get my phone number. Ask me about animals. If you call me and I don't recognize your number, just leave a message, that sort of thing. So I want to be available in the event that we don't interact on social media. Those are ways to get in touch with me. And of course, you can always DM me on Instagram. That's probably where I'm most active as far as communication goes. It's really hard to interact on YouTube aside from the chats and these lives. So.
I get it, man. Get it. Use that community tab. The community tab is key.
I'm very happy that they gave me the opportunity to use it, because I did share out that I was going to be on here.
Okay, I appreciate that.
So I mean that is really nice, and I've seen some people actually like posting to the community tab, much like you would on Instagram, and I'm thinking I'm going to start doing that. Like, here's a picture of a snake. Oh,
yes, sir. Every little bit plays into that algorithm on YouTube. Y'all, I hope you enjoyed Kent, brother. I'm gonna throw you backstage real quick and roll this up, but
all right, thank you for having me on.
Roll you out with a quick thank you. Thanks for being on. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We'll see you in a second, brother. All right, y'all. I hope you got something out of this tonight. I hope you got to know Kent a little bit better. He's just a good dude. He knows what he likes and he's doing it. And that's all we can really ask for in this industry, is just be a good person and follow your dreams. It's what we should all strive to do. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Next weekend, we will have a special episode. So I did some searching, and you guys know, as a veteran, I try to connect with all veterans in this industry. I found someone that has we'll just say, special job within the military, and I'm very excited to bring that person to you and share his love of breeding that he has just gotten into with y'all. So make sure you check us out next weekend. Super excited to have Mr. Rusty on, and I'm sorry. Wanted to make sure I said it right. Mr. Rusty from Easy Day Morphs is going to be our guest next weekend. So y'all make sure you check that out. Guaranteed to be a good time. Y'all stay blessed. I hope you enjoyed it.